Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Alright everyone, hello and welcome to War Room episode number 22. Tonight we're going to talk about light mechs and about the patch notes, but specifically going to focus on the light mechs. So before we do anything else, let's go around and introduce our guests for tonight, starting with Siri. I have something muted, hold on guys.
Oh, wait, no.
No, you weren't.
The talk. There we
Damn
go.
it, Siri. I was like, fuck, the whole show's boned.
Well, I was gonna say, co-host or guest?
Co-host, sure. I mean, yes, you're the co-host.
I've been re-promoted after being demoted. Okay, well. Hello everyone, I'm Sirathrax from Steel Jaguar Gaming, co-host of the show, and Raffles punching bag. So.
That's pretty adequate. Next, we have a new guest on the show. Addy, introduce yourself.
I'm Bonduo, and I'm the light pilot for House of Lords.
And
favorite unit.
Good to have you on for the first Look at Siri's mic. Good to have you on, Eddie. It's always fun to have new people. And Titan, that's not your unit. I'll change that. But, oops. Introduce yourself.
I'm Titanosis. I play for 228th, one of the main light pilots. Is that? Yeah.
Alright. And then Ara.
I would be the Light Lance leader of SWK.
Alright, and so I'm going to fix this overlay really quick while Siri gives you guys an overview of what the show's about. Because I messed up. It says Titans from BSK, which is not right.
Nah, I switched.
Well, basically the patch notes and other news releases this week have been kind of thin, so we've decided to roll the patch note discussion in with a topic that we've been holding on to for a while, which is a light mech discussion. And we have got the Light Lance leaders slash Paragon light pilots from 3 units, House of Lords, 228th, not BSK, and Swords of Kentaras, and of course myself. And we're going to discuss what goes into the mechanics of being a light pilot and how you can improve them, what your goal on the field as a light pilot is, and the extra responsibilities and thought that goes into being a Light Lance leader. So, Raffle, are you ready to get us started?
Almost ready. So the first thing we're going to talk about tonight is the patch notes, because we wanted to get that out of the way so that we can have a good developed discussion about lights and what it is to pilot lights, etc., etc. So, let me just switch up the overlay for a second. Apologize, I wouldn't be me if I hadn't messed something up. Okay, so, for the patch notes, what do we want to start with? Well, let's just start at the top. How many of you got the new Raven?
Lol.
If you raise your hand, well,
Awkward.
please don't.
Nobody got the new Raven?
No.
How about we talk about why nobody
Alright.
got it?
Why don't we?
Well, to start off, it has 4 machine guns, 2 in each arm, and 2 missile hardpoints, 1 in each side torso.
See no problem,
And-
this sounds perfect.
It's a Raven with 2 jump jets and no ECM. So basically what it can do is, well, the ballistics, it can only really use machine guns if you're being serious. You can always do the LOL builds like AC2s and Gauss rifles, but those are
Two
LOL
AC5s.
builds. And
Swag.
So for the missile hardpoints, your serious choices are streaks, which you only have 2 of, or
LRMs.
SRMs.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. Gauss rifle? Duh.
2 LRM-20s.
Right on.
Perfect.
Three Ravens already.
How many tubes does it have, anyways? If you're
20.
punching...
What?
Yeah, that's 20. Yeah, that's 20
Wow.
tubes.
So massive.
Dude, that's at least then it doesn't make it as bad as running the is it the Treb that has a 1 tube port? Put a 20 in that, and it's like two.
The Raven's Narc tube on the 3L
Yeah.
too.
There we go. That's the one.
There's a couple of mechs that do that.
I'm still just shaking my head at that.
You can fit an LRM-40 in it. You need a XL100 and you get like 4 tons of ammo and no armor, but you can do it.
Yep, see? That sounds totally legit.
It's perfectly viable.
There you go, perfect. Save some tonnage on your LRM boats, Siri. Come on.
Especially after that learn buff.
Ultimate
Totally
min-max.
viable. But yeah, it comes down to the fact that in its main dogfighting, it's going to be 4 machine guns, which are shit at opening up components, and it's going to be either 2 streaks or SRMs. And SRMs in a light fight, no bueno. And SRMs against heavies, again, no bueno. It used to be like a Jenner D with 2 SRM4s. I loved that mech. But that was when SRMs had 2.5 damage and splash.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, and
they
just
kind of regged.
Clearly why now the SRM hit reg is priority, right?
dude, yeah, I'm excited about that. But we'll get to that. Yeah, you don't have like a main weapon on this, so it just won't do damage. It might be good at like finishing stuff, but
Well, it's not only that. Think of how much ammo weight you're gonna have on your Raven. I mean, do you even have anything for
How-
any long-term game?
how many tons of MG ammo would that be? 3 or 4?
For machine guns, you only need 2.
Oh, okay.
You can sometimes make do with 1. I know Siri does, but I like 2.
When you're not shooting at like 300 meters with your machine guns, and when you're not shooting them when you're obviously missing, like Addy does.
It's legitimate. Okay. I like the sound.
Dude, no, you just gotta get the
Psychological
MG.
warfare.
I don't know, you gotta get the
Exactly.
MG range buff. Come on, man.
Yeah, that whole 20 meters.
Yeah,
I don't even
go-
think it's that.
It's
Big
like
deal.
12 meters.
Well, enough about that bucket of rust. Victor 9SC, the champion Victor. That's another like champion build I'm not super fond of, but
You want to give the rundown on it, or anybody else?
it's 2 medium pulse, 2 SRM4, 1 SRM2, and 2 UX. It's a standard, or no, it's an XL350. I don't like, well, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the XL champion builds because it means that if you see like a champion in the queue, it's like, haha, side torsos. But other than that, it's I don't feel like it's necessarily a great new user experience to be that squishy.
Well,
at
the
least
Victor
Victor.
is one of the few mechs that can kind of get away with an XL, but that's in the hands of an experienced player.
Yeah.
And like it is a downside, but to be honest, it's not what kills the mech. What kills the mech is having a newbie as a pilot. Although the weapons loadout could definitely be better, I would have preferred to see something along the lines of AC-20, 2 mediums, and full SRM packs, because like that's an SRM 10, and that's kind of pathetic.
I would say
Triple
that
sixes or go home.
any lower tier game where players are mostly new or just beginning the game, that kind of loadout is actually kind of fun to play because it's mostly visceral, right? You're right in their face with your speed. You're pretty heavy, 80 tons, and you're gonna have lots of clicking to do with SRMs and UAC5s.
That's a good
I
point.
would see this much more as a fun mech than an actual serious mech.
The SRAMs also largely fit the Victor's already existing tube counts with 10, 5, and 2. So if you could stick an SRAM 6 there, but the SRAM 4 and the SRAM 2 do make relatively decent sense.
Yeah.
You know what amuses me to no end about this build? The fact that
It has 2
a couple
UX.
One
patches
jump jet?
ago, yeah, one jump jet. They nerfed jump jets a couple patches ago, then they released a champion mech with 1.
At least it's not a Pop Tartar, I guess.
Yeah,
Makes it
that's
somewhat
true.
better.
Here's a quick question out of curiosity. Was
Yeah.
there ever a trial mech that was a Pop Tartar?
They-
The Cataphract champion build, I believe.
No,
That was an
3D
LBX.
with it.
Oh, the champion build as an LBX?
yeah, the
Yeah.
champion's like medium lasers and LBX.
Oh god, never mind.
It's 2 larges, 2 mediums, 1 LBX.
Goo.
don't
All
think there
the ammo
ever
and
was.
CT.
The
All of-
closest is kind of the Highlander with it was like large lasers and an AC-10.
Yeah, an AC-10, 2 ER larges, and 3 streaks. I hated that thing when it came out, by the way. Just because of streaks.
Yeah.
Uh,
Don't we
Before
all?
we move on, my last word on it is that at least it's not the worst champion mech out.
It's not the Stalker. It is
Yeah,
better than
it's
that.
not the catapult.
Dude,
You
that-
remember the catapult?
oh,
I really
I don't know
enjoyed
that one.
those stalkers.
yeah, man, those
Patches
stalkers were
ago.
awesome a couple patches ago.
They're so easy to kill.
I killed Jaeger with a stalker.
Really?
During a 12-man, too.
That's
fun
awesome.
Big assault LRM mech.
And
Still-
Ara, you have no honor.
Fun drop.
Hey, that wasn't me. That was my team. I even told them to not shoot at you. Fun times.
Siri demands honor.
Justice demands retribution.
Okay, so after the Victor, we've got the front end fix, change, current update, which was you can pick not to drop in whatever mode you want to, which I'm super happy about. Just because
Which
I
means no more assault.
oh, just do it. Well, I suppose for all of you it means no more assault because you're light pilots, but for me it means no more skirmish because I hate skirmish. I
But
have
Jaeger's been dropping in heavies and assaults, and he's still been turning it off for his plug play just because the turrets are so goddamn annoying.
oh man, so I think there might actually be a bug right now where
You think?
Well, I mean, I know there's more than one bug, but I experienced it for the first time, which was once they get a lock, the lock doesn't disappear until you're out of 1,000.
Yep.
always
that's
been
been
for a
for
while.
As long as you're spotted, then it doesn't matter how far away you are, they shoot at you.
Yeah, so I pushed up on I started lakeside on
Caustic?
Caustic, thank you. And I pushed up the right side over the D5 hill. I was like, da-da-da-da-da, walking along in my Banshee, popped the turret a couple times, it was shooting at somebody on my team. Walk forward 5 meters, missile lock. Oh, better back up. That turret can see you until you're back behind the D5 ridge and shoot you the whole time. And their
Oh,
whole
it's not
team
only
had
that,
lock on me. So I got hit by like 4 LRM boats and this turret while I was like backing up, being like, probably gonna lose missile lock soon. Probably gonna lose missile lock soon.
That's the
Nah.
very important part for a light mech. You can't really maneuver much around the enemy base because they're gonna lock on you, and they know you're trying to flank or hide behind their lines, or on the side of their lines. Can't really sneak around.
By the time it's a base cap situation as well, you're going to be somewhat hurt. And with those pinpoint aimbot medium lasers, well, GG.
Pretty much auto aim AC5s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I ran by with like a barely open CT, and I was like 400 meters from 2 turrets, and 2 shots killed me. And I was diving between buildings, and it was just like, that's bullshit. But
They get perfect
yeah,
at ridge, too.
that sort of brokenness is the same thing we've been complaining about for a while. So it's not even their durability to an extent, it's the friggin' aimbotting, range breaking, ECM not caring about LERM turrets and such.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. I can't believe that I didn't experience it earlier than that. But at least I know now. Speaking of LRMs, LRM speed has been reduced by 15 meters per second, down from 175 to 160. Screen shake has been reduced down to 0.35 from 0.4, and turret health has been reduced to 100 from 150. I didn't notice the screen shake change from LRMs. Did you guys?
Nope.
Yeah, me either. I'd like to
Turn
see it.
health.
down to turret health. I'm okay with. I think that's about where it should be.
I would advocate down like 60 or 70, to be honest.
They're-
Because the thing is that
As soon as you make them
Assault-
one-shottable, they're just pointless, though.
how
It's two
is
shots.
70 health one-shottable?
It's a lot of damage still.
You said 60, which is
Yeah, I
one-shottable.
said 60 or 70. 60 is still not one-shottable.
That is. There's 60-point alpha builds.
Well,
Yeah, but they're hot as fuck.
there are, but
Yeah.
If you made them 70 health, it'd be like 3 volleys from a jump sniper.
But that's
That's true.
reasonable, though, because when you look at it, they were not really necessary beforehand. It was still, yeah, lights are annoying, but harden the fuck up and learn to play and protect your goddamn base. Don't just ignore the lance of lights, like, running off to the side. So, with serious competitive play, it wasn't necessary. With pugs and that are disorganized, yeah, maybe they need the crutch, maybe they need just the advanced notice, but dropping them to 60 or 75 health is still more than enough to deal with, like, 3 lights trying to just ninja cap you.
Well,
you can't-
still,
Hmm.
problem is there's way too many turrets for it right now,
Yeah.
even with 2 or 4 lights. Reducing the number of turrets and even putting down to small lasers would do their job to stop early game capping from the lights, right?
I think this just boils down to the fact that turrets are meant for attack and defend, not for assault. Like maybe
That's
assault
true.
we should get like 3 turrets. Like 2 medium laser turrets and 1 LRM turret would be fine in assault, in my opinion. That's enough to like deal with anything but a coordinated lance of lights for a long enough for you to get back to base.
right now we have like 8, I think.
Some
Eight?
maps have like 8.
Depends on the map, yeah.
Between 6 and 8.
Yeah, between 6 and 8. I think the map it's the most ridiculous on is like
Crimson. Street.
no, they're good on Crimson. Like they're more spread out, which is good.
River
and
City,
bad. I think
Yeah,
River
River
City
City's
is the
worse.
most ridiculous one.
so close. So
River
very
City's
close.
No,
not too bad.
Canyon
It's
is the worst. Canyon, I
and
lied.
Caustic. Canyon
Oh,
and
Caustic. Yeah, like with
That's-
Crimson City, or Crimson Strait, you can kind of go one-on-one with one turret at a time. But on River City, you can't, usually. On Caustic, you
HPG,
can't.
Same thing. I like the layout on that one.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
me, Crimson is actually the best implementation because it's so spread out and like you're dealing with one, so it gives you that notice that people are going for your base, while at the same time it's not completely overwhelming to the person trying to attack.
Personally, I don't even like the warning that they get. They're like wards in a MOBA or something. I don't
Basically,
really
yeah.
understand why they needed to exist when they already gave you notification that you were getting capped.
Well, like I said, for pug play, just to give that extra buffer. But if we could turn it off in the lobbies for competitive play, I would be really, really happy.
Yeah.
So, PGI, please.
Yeah.
Do this.
Hey,
Do you just
for
want the
unused.
warning turned off, or do you want the
Turrets, gone.
Oh,
dead.
okay, gotcha.
Out.
Gotcha. Okay.
I mean, because you already have strikes. If somebody's capping, you already have strikes tipping that balance really fucking hard.
Oh yeah.
So,
Okay. There's nothing else in the patch notes. Just that Ravens have visual customization now, which
AC-20s look cool on them.
do they really?
Yeah, they do look pretty neat.
Good. I want to put a couple UX on there. Perfect. That's all you need. So tweet out. I don't have it. I don't have it like saved here, but tweet out
I'll get
by
it for you.
Brian. Yeah, that's fine. Tweet out by Brian with the latest changes coming down and private lobbies almost here. It sounds like SRM hit reg is the new top priority in terms of balance. So, yay! Maybe we can finally stop talking about it on the show. It's been 22 episodes. I think we've mentioned it every time, but last time.
I thought we mentioned it last time.
It's possible. I feel like we might have said something about it.
Oh, and just in case, without SRM hit reg, half the mechs in the game don't work. There we go. We're done for this episode.
Wait, what? Was that in the tweet?
No,
Oh.
I'm just saying so we can beat the dead horse.
Oh yeah, dead
That's all
horse
there is to be
beat.
said about them.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, other than that, we had the server migration, wasn't too big of a deal. Had the public test also nothing very big with that.
One
Anything?
thing I was curious in the public, the alarm speed.
Did it
Did
feel
it do a major
different?
difference?
I didn't
I don't
play
know.
the. I didn't play the
play
test.
in the public test.
Did anybody play in the public test?
I did a bit, but I
Okay.
didn't really. I bought a Llama Lenche because I could, stuck a flamer in its mouth, and that's about it.
That is the best use of the public test server. It's like, oh, better buy some mechs I'd never pay for any other time.
Bought a pretty baby as well. I have to experience
Oh.
that once.
Oh, damn, I should have done that. Next time. Alright, well, I
I
think
linked
that...
the tweet.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Well, I think that means it's light mech time. So... Tonight, what we want to talk about, just a little bit about what it means to be a light pilot and the strategy behind playing as a light pilot. So I'm going to go around, can ask everybody some questions. Feel free to butt into each other at any time and keep the discussion going. So the first thing that we were thinking about when Siri and I sat down to kind of come up with this idea was, what does it actually mean for you guys to be a light pilot? Like when you go into a competitive 12, and that's the situation we're going to try and talk about here is competitive 12-mans. What do you focus on in a 12 as a light pilot? What's like the mindset you go through? And we'll start with Ara.
Survive, pretty much.
Well, quick
Go ahead.
clarification, actually. It was also like, what are your goals and responsibilities when you're in a
Siri,
drop?
I'm gonna get there. Calm down.
Fine,
Well,
Is that what
that's
he
the
just
most important
said?
thing.
Personally, I think the lights are the mech class that's the most versatile in the sense that how many kind of mechs can like do ECM, scouting, brawling, just skirmishing as a whole, and even sometimes sniping if you consider the Cicada. Shout out to BSK.
Fucking
So yeah,
BSK
it's-
does.
Responsibilities in a job, there's a shit ton of them in the sense that you need to know what kind of specific role you're playing, or if you're doing an all-rounder like scouting and skirmishing and brawling in the same kind of type of game. And like I said, general goal, I guess surviving for a long time and actually doing an impact on the game, especially in 12s.
Titan, what do you think about when you go into a competitive match as a light?
I'd have to say main goals are scouting, making sure that your heavies and drop commander know where the other team is, what's going on. Also, if you find a medium or up or light even out of position and they don't have backup, single them out, pick the kill. And then also when it comes into like brawling time or like the main engagement, keeping light mechs or smaller mechs off of your big mechs backs when they're trying to keep their firing line on the main force.
Eddie, what do you think?
They're largely a support class, really. In during the beginning and late stage game of the fights, or during the beginning, you're really just going to be aiming to survive and poke out the enemy lights or whatever they are. But whereas during the late game stage, you're really just going to be setting up ideal situations for your bigger mechs, so that they aren't getting harassed by either enemy lights or having the entire brunt of the other enemy mechs onto them. You just want to serve as a distraction.
And then Siri, what do you think about when you play a light mech?
I think about turtles.
God damn it. I know what
No.
you think, but tell us.
I think Addy is hitting it on the head. You are a support class. I see a lot of people who are like, lights are god, they can go do anything, and it's, no, they really aren't. As a light pilot, your responsibility is not to give a godly performance. Your responsibility is to make sure that your heavies get the best goddamn engagement they can get. And that's pretty much what governs everything you do, from scouting, from harassing a flank, from capping a base, from preventing your base from being capped or their lights getting on your heavy's back. It's making your heavy's job look easy. And because if you have a light team that can't do it, then your heavies are going to get caught with their pants down and get slaughtered. So
One of the things with
go ahead.
One of the things with flights like Syrian, Addy, and even Titan said, the reaction time for the lights, like the decision making, is extremely fast, since you're pretty much going to be the first mech knowing stuff, either for scouting, either for brawling. When do you brawl? When do you jump in? When do you play decoy? It has a lot of pressure on the shoulders in the sense that you need to do correct decisions, or at least the best decisions you can do in the current context, and act as a support mech. Whatever your heavy mechs are doing, you have to support them. Whatever your other lance is doing, or even your lights are doing, you need to support each other. So yeah, it's a lot of reaction type of game.
Yeah, and it is about numerical superiority. You're abusing that speed to be where you need to in a strategic sense always. And Aro's also right, it's about surviving, because I have seen a lot of teams just get a light out of position early, it dies, and as we all know, games snowball. So immediately tipping the fight out of your team's hands if you do that.
Honestly, this might be a little self-focused, but I always considered a lot of the games, like if you're going to win or not, like a prediction based on if you're going to win or not, to be determined by your light mechs. If your light lance can completely destroy the other enemy team's lights, you have free reign, and with free reign, you can go, shoot back, shoot legs, do whatever. Well, again, your bakes are just going to have free reign over the rest of them, without enemy lights at their knees.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I view it not as, like, influencing or winning. It's not fucking up. Most of the time, it's as simple as that. Not fucking up, and then punishing the other team if they do.
Yeah, you can get out of position really quickly in a light. And one good shot from a jump sniper or something with an AC-20, your day sucks.
So we talked about a personal perspective, but most, if not all of you, are light lance leaders. And so how does that perspective change, if at all, when you're responsible not only for yourself, but the movement of the lights on your team? Start with Suri this time.
Well, as a light lance leader, it goes back to what I was talking about, in that you're trying to manipulate it so that your heavies are getting a great engagement. And so in order to do that, you need to be considering the drop as a whole and just everything going on. And you have to be doing that not just from your perspective and the heavy's perspective, but you also need to keep track of all the risks to your other lights. And it can be a lot to handle. You have to be a great multitasker and keeping track of like 24 mechs pretty much at all times. When you're scouting, sometimes you're scouting by a mission and you just have to sort of go by feel about what might be happening that you can't see. And sometimes it goes into trying to get into your enemy's head and knowing their style, like if they try to send their lights to cap, or if they analyze it from their point of view. So you're inside your own head, you're inside everybody on your team, and you're trying to double think what the enemy is doing as well.
Addy, how do you feel when you're trying to account for not only yourself but a lance?
Oh, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't really consider myself a light lance leader, in that House of Lords we don't really have lance leaders. I mean, I guess I would. I mean, I'm usually the one calling things out, but I would just say that's because I'm most talkative. And from there, I'm usually just trying to get our lights into the best areas that we can to influence the match. I know it's really vague, but since since this is a variable depending on the situation of the match, it's kind of a hard question to answer, I guess.
No, yeah, I agree. Sorry, I'm eating cheese while I'm trying to do this because I'm hungry as hell. Titan, how do you feel when you're leading a light lance?
Too much responsibility. One thing I'm constantly doing is cycling through targets to see if there's just like cord out components that the lights can target off or just kill a mech. A lot of times if something gets really damaged to CT or side torso, it'll back up, and then if your lights are already in a brawl, you can go single that target out, take it down, and then you have to deal with one less mech. Also, you're kind of responsible for keeping track of like capture points. A lot of the competitive drops are run in Conquest. On Assault 2, you have to know where the other enemy lights are if you're worried about base cap. Usually that doesn't come till the end though. Yeah, and then target coordination. If your lights are all shooting different things, they're not as effective as if they're all have a 30-point alpha piece on one guy. Take stuff down pretty fast, legging it out or coring out a back or something.
And last but not least, Aura, how do you feel when you command your lights?
I feel good.
I feel like a therapist asking these questions. I'm like, and how does it feel? How do you what do you think? But yeah, no, go
I
ahead.
usually try to take into account the general strategy of the team before going into a game. Sometimes we either play super conservative, sometimes we're super aggressive. Just need to know what to do in which specific game or team mech loadouts. Like Eddie said though, being a light lance lead and micromanaging everything is kind of hard, just in the fact that, well, light mechs are light mechs. They're super fast, they're zipping around the battlefield. Sometimes one mech is on the other side of the brawl and whatnot. It's kind of hard to micromanage one light mech at a time. So just giving general directions and to help out your team, to help out the other units, other mechs in your unit, is what I usually go for. For example, suppose there's a brawl, instead of like, okay, lights, try to focus down this specific mech. We already know which mechs we need to prioritize and which mech part we need to go for. Of course, we can also call them and see if anyone can help, but in a brawl, gets kind of confusing. So calls are usually from around, okay, lights, go right flank, or go left flank, their back is open, and just general directions to position the lens as a whole in a specific firing line.
Okay. So one thing that you hear, well, not necessarily hear it a lot in the competitive area, but if you read any of the forums, there's a lot of lights are OP, lights are too good, etc., etc. I know you guys are acutely aware of just how squishy lights are, but what do you think that mentality or that fear comes from? Like, why do you think people are afraid of lights or think that they're so good?
The game where Ara and I killed 8 people when we had 3 light mechs left in the game.
Fucking serious?
Yeah, it was 3v8 and we killed the entire other team. I think Ragnar was the third light. He got smacked, but we killed all 8 of them. Or
Well
I don't know
done.
if it was 8, but it was a lot of them.
But so,
Stuff like that.
what do you think? What do you think it causes that? Like, what about light mechs makes them so dangerous in certain situations? Siri, for anyone. I mean, this is a fairly open question.
I'm gonna say a couple of things. One, weapon loadouts. As you get, well, I would say better, and in higher tiers, people are going to go more so and so into the metagame, in the sense that, well, AC PPCs, you guys know. And the more they become big alpha strike mechs, the harder it is for a light to actually try and engage and be aggressive, because, well, a slip up or bad luck can just put you into trouble or get one leg blasted or open CD, whatever you want. I would say that's one thing that is a major influence, especially in the newer players or the players that have DPS loadouts. And a second thing I think is also pretty important is with the latest patch, I think there's been a hit reg problem, mostly with fast moving mechs. There's a lot of shots, especially from ACs and PPCs, that are not registering correctly on lights. Well, that's kind of my opinion, but kind of feels
Gauze
that
even.
way. Probably so. So yeah, lights are unhittable. Maybe not, but you can feel them being more tanky, I would say. They shouldn't be living that long, that's for sure.
My feeling on it is that, one, yeah, it's people can't aim. Two, it's people bringing loadouts that you can't aim with. For example, like, I don't know, MGs, a
LBXs.
medium laser, a large laser, an LBX-10, mishmash, like LRM-20 build that is just plain bad, and so when anything kills them, it's automatically because that thing is OP. But it's also because at low levels, people don't get strategy. People don't get sticking together and supporting each other. So you find a lot of people just like running off and getting isolated. And even if it's like, say, a medium that goes 95, well, maybe they're used to that being sufficient speed to get away from, say, the big fat scary Atlas. But when it comes to a light mech, they're on you and they're never going away until you're dead.
Dude, you can't run away in this game. It's just like not a thing. Unless you're
Yeah,
a light
and-
mech running from like an assault mech. Other than that, it's pretty hard to just run.
You gotta
Even then, you're
outposition
gonna
them.
get boxed in too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Without
and it becomes
jump sets.
it's a very visceral experience to have a light or three just in your face and making you feel helpless. And it's so close to you, like a thin line between being helpless at the hands of a light and then just turning around and laying the smack down. So for the new people who can't quite do that, then it seems there's nothing they can do. And therefore OP. But yeah.
There?
Especially with the current JJ adjustments, that with the recent ones, you can basically 1v1 most things in a light now. Like, I can stay behind Victor somewhat reliably now. You take out the arm and they just have PPCs at 90 meters, and well, you can't do anything about that. And when you have even worse builds in those things, like you have like large lasers and LBXs or whatever, then like Siri said, the light's it's just going to be so annoying, and you're going to have so little response to it that really it does seem quite unfair, and it is. I mean, if you can't hit the thing, it is, I mean, kind of unfair, but that's part of, you know, improving your play, improving your skill set to the point where you're able to, you know, do those little reverse turns in your assault mechs to get the light in your face or in your sights, you know, putting your back to a wall, stuff that these like new players don't really learn. They'll eventually learn it just by, you know, a natural process or advice from forums or whatever. But at the start,
Advice from forums? Good one.
advice from some forums. I don't know.
Where
Well,
where you go is important.
Yeah, where you go is important. But you know, they'll eventually be able to counter those things. They'll see, you know, top tier assault players one-shotting light mechs or, you know, ruining Jenner CTs in one shot, and be like, oh, you actually can deal with it, and they'll, you know, eventually get it.
Nothing feels better to me than one-shotting a Jenner. It's just this like ecstatic feeling of just like, yeah, fuck Jenners.
The 6 PPC stalker was a very hated thing way back when for me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Act 20 through the back shoulder.
that's always the fun part too.
Let's be
Just-
honest, the 4 PPC was just as
That was
scary,
worse.
if not scarier. 'cause
Just-
Yeah,
But it couldn't
40.0.
one-shot you. The 60 could one-shot you. The 40 couldn't, so...
I one-shotted a
just
couple
true.
people through the side torso with it.
Just
Oh, that's-
wait until I have my Streak 6 pods in June. Yes.
You bastard.
Fuck that.
You and your hard
Gauze on the
counters.
Daishi.
There you
Oh,
go.
that too.
Oh yeah, plus they're gonna put chaff in so that you'll have like a shield.
We're gonna go back to Raven with ECM and 2 large lasers.
Yeah.
all light
No,
pilots.
my jump jets.
We'll talk about that when that happens, though. So speaking of Ravens and different mechs, how do you guys feel? Obviously, the Jenner is the light mech. I think everybody agrees on that to an
I
extent.
would not think so.
Hold on.
I would not.
No,
Fire
there's
starters.
Okay,
Good.
well,
It's pretty
let's go.
balanced right
let's
now.
go into this.
It's
So,
for
what
one thing,
do
you can't just
different?
say the Jenner, because there are 2 Jenners. There's the Jenner D and there's the Jenner F. Technically,
there's
there
Jenner
are 3,
K.
but nobody gives actually 4, but nobody gives a shit about the Oxide or the K.
Correct.
So
I don't
Well-
know. SRM hit reg now priority. You
Never.
know, outside are going to be SRM 2s and 4s everywhere.
Everybody.
I'll
just
believe
knows
it when I
it's a
see
joke.
it.
So, how
Four
do
SRM fours.
like why is the Jenner and now the Firestarter? Well, and all mechs. Like, what causes the choice to be made between the Jenner Starter, the Fire, the Raven? I don't think I've
Did
seen.
you just say the
Spider.
Jenner starter?
Well,
Jenner, the
I think you
Firestarter,
did.
the Raven? I don't think I've seen a Spider in months, but like what
Firepower.
what causes the
Well,
the
for one
choice,
thing,
and
let's
why
just
do you
make one thing
choose
clear.
certain?
When we
lights
say
over others?
Firestarter, we are talking about the Ember, correct? Not the other
yeah,
Firestarters.
I think we're all talking about the Ember.
There
Yeah.
we go. Ember.
I kind of
Um,
like the. I think it's the K one with 6 in the arms.
That's yeah. Okay. The S also
That's-
with the double AMS can be kind of sort of useful, but that's really a pug game mech. But just going through the three big ones. I mean, the Raven, it's a sniper mech. It can't do anything else because the stupid legs are too big and it has no jump jet. So if you try to brawl in it, you will die quickly. The Jenner F, which is the main one people are going to be using. The Jenner D is for lighter drops, but the Jenner F, it has such high energy hardpoints on those arms. They're able to peak really well. And in the early game of stage of fights, it's just all peeking. You won't be able to do anything as a light mech early on. You won't be able to just hop in and kill crap. You need to poke, and the Jenner is by far a better poker than the Ember. The Ember, however,
Hold up.
during
Hold up. Jenner F. We're talking
Jenner
Jenner
F, yes, not Jenner D. No Pokemon Jenner D. But the Ember, on the other hand, is more of a late game mech. Because everything's going to be open. I thought it's going to have some kind of open component on it. Most enemy mechs, those machine guns will eat it up, and it's a better brawler by far due to those arms and the smaller or thinner side profile. It won't be one shot as easily as a Jenner F will be, and it will lose its arms ideally. Before that, which is I think there's 36 total health in those arms. So that's quite a few shots from standard meta mech.
Yeah, but in comp play, you're not going to be shooting the arms with the CT. You're going to be shooting the legs of a Firestarter.
Yeah,
Always.
but the thing, I mean, no one's a perfect shot. So when those shots can be absorbed by those arms, it's like getting shot in the head on a Jenner.
Yeah, but
Except
it still
not
doesn't
as
do
rare.
anything. Even if in a Jenner, if you aim for the legs, even if you hit the CD, you're still going to aim for the legs because everyone else on the team is aiming for the legs. You're just going to be wasting your shot on the armor of the CT, right? Unless you get a lucky shot from a PPC AC mech in.
Right, but if you miss, you're gonna hit the CT instead of the arms.
Yeah, but no one's aiming for the CD.
I have some
know, but-
input on
well,
this
mostly.
topic.
You're gonna say Ty?
The engine size in the Ember is only 295, not allowing 2 heat sinks in the CT. So you get a little bit more tonnage out of the Jenner because you're able to put ferrofibrous and endosteel on and still fit, I think, 14 or 15 heat sinks. Can't remember.
It's
That's
15.
honestly a non-factor though, because the Ember has the 4 machine guns, so you're really only supporting the 4 medium lasers with those heat sinks, and 10 or 11 is perfectly fine for that.
True, but I'm just saying for like if you want to run any not Ember, but any Firestarter, but the Ember, it's
Yeah, but why would you?
a little bit. I don't know.
Because we should be banning hero mechs in all leagues, but we'll talk
What?
about that later.
Oh,
I mean, it should be, and I've been telling people that we need to have this discussion for fucking months. As soon as we found out about clan mechs, I'm like, we'll take care of it eventually. Like,
Let's save this for a little bit.
No, I
before we
will,
get too far
but
off topic.
I'm just saying. So, yeah, go ahead, Titan.
Raven 3 LIC is more of a utility mech because of all the module slots, and it doesn't have jump jets, but the easing is really useful.
It's kind of fallen out of favor because teams have gotten a lot more aggressive and learning how to push. you're not finding a long, drawn-out skirmishing style, except when you get really lucky and pick ravens for the first time in like 3 months, and then get Alpine Peaks, which happened to us. It was beautiful.
Ravens on Alpine, man, they'll do it. It's weird. It's weird for me to think back because Ravens used to be just such kings of the battlefield. But that was
And then
way
they
long.
completely fell out of favor for a while, and then they got a reincarnation as a 2ER large laser harasser.
Yeah, which I
A little
think
bit.
it's a pretty decent build. It's certainly annoying if nothing else. Like it is, it's very good at harassing.
Yeah.
All right, so just real quick, personal preference from everybody. What's your favorite go-to light mech?
Well, we actually forgot one. The
The-
Jenner D,
Oh,
compared to the others,
okay, yeah.
is the Streak mech. 4 medium lasers, 2 streaks. It is better than the Hugin. Hugin? We decided on Hugin, right?
Hugin.
Hugin. It is better than the Hugin because the 4 medium lasers are, actually effective
Because it
at
has
opening
medium
things up.
lasers.
It allows it to keep skirmishing, and makes it pretty decent against any class. So once you get like 4 or 5 Jenner Ds and you've got those streaks stacked up, if you all get on a light target, time to death is like 10 seconds for it. So if your goal is to just completely kill all their lights and then be able to help out on bigs after, but not as well as say an Ember or a Jenner F would do, then the Jenner D is your mech. It also has an advantage over the Jenner F in that it has 3 module slots when mastered instead of 2. And that's another thing about the Ember is that it does get 3 module slots, and because it's got the machine guns, it has less need for a cool shot if you really want to push your heat like that. So
The machine guns also give it such a high sustainability that, during the late game stage, you can just sit in that brawl that there always is going to be at the end of the game till the end of it. You don't need to back out to cool down like you do with the Jenner F.
Right. So if we have to go through and assign definitions to what things are, the Raven is your long-range harasser, the Jenner F is your skirmisher, the Jenner D is your light hunter, and the Ember is your brawler. And they're all pretty good at what they do. Everything else isn't worth mentioning, and that comes down to the fact that everything else has fuck all for firepower. Locust, lol, including durability. The
What's
Spider, three laser hardpoints. Like, what are you doing with that?
Sorry, what's a locust? I'm confused.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, the Locust. The Commando again, durability, weapons. It just doesn't get enough. And
Hey man, TDK is the shit.
It's fun.
this
but
is
Goes really fast.
It is fun and it does go really fast. That's the only reason I
Just
own one.
kidding. Sorry, continue.
And this problem might be solved if there were new weapon systems for lights to use, but right now the only ones worth using are medium lasers, machine guns, streaks, and occasionally like ER larges.
What weapon systems are you thinking? Well, no, actually,
light
yeah.
autocannons.
Higher streak pods or light autocannons?
I think light autocannons would be the big thing. That would put things like maybe the Spider 5K might actually be useful if it had like light autocannons in the arms. But
Yeah, and like small pulse are trash, medium pulse are small pulse are trash because of the range. Medium pulse are too hot,
too heavy.
and small
Two
lasers
tons
again,
is
just
way
the
too
range
much.
is bad.
Yeah, 2 tons is way too much on a medium pulse laser.
Yeah.
Doesn't do enough damage, too much heat, not enough range. Favorite.
Heavy medium lasers do want.
I wanna hear it though. What's everybody's favorite light mech?
Ember.
Gotta go with the F.
Jenner F.
I'm with the
Spider
Ember.
5e.
Oh, he's unique.
No, I'm kidding.
He's
I love
trolling.
that thing for the 12 jump jets because I can fucking fly. I've actually, like, I love it. You can put UAVs that nobody can shoot down. It's hilarious.
Wait, really?
Well,
thought there was a
like,
cap
you
on
jump
the
on top of
skybox.
Citadel. You jump on top of Citadel, you recharge, you jump off while flying over their group, and it's like 500 meters in the air.
Oh, and nobody can look up that high. Got it.
Yeah,
That's hilarious.
it's pretty damn hilarious. But it gets like 1 tag in medium laser, so that's not a serious choice.
Yeah.
My 2 favorite are It's tough. I actually
Nope,
love
you get
them
one.
all.
You get one, Siri. You don't get two. You get one light mech.
Oh, that's mean.
The Jenner F is the classic. It still holds my heart.
All right, that's 3
The Ember
Jenner
makes me
Fs
money,
and an
though.
Ember.
The Ember makes me money.
Dat money, dough.
Ember does get around in the game.
Yeah. Really quick,
Machine guns tear shit up.
as light pilots, and we'll do this really quick before we move on to like restrictions and different kind of matches and stuff like that. But what do you guys see as the biggest weakness for light mechs in a competitive
Headshots.
scenario?
Well, getting one shot really depends on the mech, and the Jenner F CT by far. You know, you miss, you hit the CT still. You can't torso twist in it. It's just a problem.
Even
On the
if
rest
you,
of the
Pretty much,
legs,
yeah.
even if you don't die, if you take a hit from an AC-20 or a jump sniper in any of your torsos, and you have no armor there or bright red armor, you're playing way more conservative for the rest of the match.
basically one shot takes you out. You are done with one shot, no matter what it comes from. If it's like a standard, 30 alpha.
Not only that, but you're still, for all that jump jets are good and all, you're still constrained to front, back, rotate left, right. Once you're in the air, you have momentum. You're continuing that direction. It's not like you have, like, crazy mid-air
Air
changes.
control.
If only.
Yeah, if only.
I still
But,
think that
like-
jump jet should be you push your jump jet and you just go in a fixed arc and you can't control it.
Because you hate us even more.
No,
Yeah.
because that would like do
Yeah.
a lot. It'd be a lot
Yeah,
harder. It'd
Well,
fix
it
a lot
depends
of
how to
problems.
do it. If they would like up the speed of the horizontal positioning, it would have its uses. Like in was it MechWarrior 4 with the jump jet mod? Well,
I'm just
Think
thinking
about
about how like the description is usually just like you use your jump jets to jump a certain distance, and so I think it'd be interesting if jump jets just you hit your jump jets and you
Going that fast, though,
If they gave you the
Might-
height,
really fuck up hit reg even more.
yeah.
like if they gave you the height as they were in lore, I'd be okay with your suggestion. If I could go 150 meters in the air with one JJ, but
dude.
I don't.
Yeah, I think you'd get stuck in the map a lot more too, because you can't control where you're gonna land.
Yep.
Unless you plan it out, and I don't know, it would take forever to figure out all the jump spots and whatnot.
I'm just saying it'd be interesting.
It'd be like rocket jumping in Quake.
well, the only way that would work if is you could use jump jet in midair to stop the flight and just drop vertical. But aside from that, yeah,
Like turn
it
your
would
torso
kill the
and
jump
then-
jets like Wisp C says.
One thing I hate is that when you land from jumping, you momentarily go back near zero and you have to accelerate
Yeah.
back up. That gets you killed a lot.
Gets you a shot right in the torsos.
It
Yeah.
depends how you land too. I mean, you still go to zero, but it seems like you kind of keep momentum if you like feather the jump jets when you are hitting the ground at a downward slope. I don't know how to describe it, but there's some
Yeah, if you
situations,
cushion
some
your
parts
landing.
terrain.
As
I would save a little bit for the end.
I was
'cause
gonna
if
say-
you hard land, it's
I'm
it does
sure
what
you
Sue
guys
said.
know this, but as an assault pilot, one of the things that pisses me off the most is when I'm certain that a light is completely out of jump jets and line up the shot right where I know they're going to land, and at the last second they just full floor the jump jets and they hover for just a little bit longer. Maybe I hit a leg or maybe I miss, but
suck it.
That's the big way how to dodge because it gives
Yeah.
that little impulse at the first touch of a spacebar.
yep, it's
That's-
a big deal.
I'm pretty sure that's a you problem.
It's a me. Oh yeah, totally.
Zing.
Zing 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 zing.
I always just save a little to make sure I don't take
Well, yeah, you don't want to crit
leg
your
damage
legs.
on falling. Because, I mean, yeah, it's only like 1 point or whatever, but it adds up.
And just save it for the quick direction change or little hop to dodge people shooting at the legs mostly. So useful.
Like a
One
lot of
thing we-
people are going through.
Sorry, it just occurred to me that one thing we haven't discussed is sort of the attrition on a light, where if you are exposing yourself early, like one hit is severely limiting what you can do the rest of the time. Or if you keep getting into engagements, like couple brushes of laser fire over the course of a match, those really stack up. So like you have to be, like you said, the durability, but just
I play like
really,
a total
really
pussy for the
smart
first
in your
5 minutes,
exposure.
at least. Or try to.
I guess it depends what the trade-off would be. Because if I get hit by 3 lasers, but I know I got a full alpha strike, or almost a full alpha strike on the legs of Inner Light, or an important body part of a high priority player, then it might be worth it. Now, would
What?
you repeat that multiple times? Yeah, maybe not.
Well, it's just like the relative thing where I can put 30 into that Highlander, but if he puts 10 back on me, that's an even or a losing exchange.
Yeah, but if you get hit by
Yeah.
5 damage and you not kill them, but you hit them with 15, 20 damage in their legs or an important part, whereas your 5, 10 damage on you is rolled around multiple right, left, center, maybe arm on the Jenner, yeah, it might be worth it. Guess it depends where the focus damage is, mostly.
Yep. It's part of the reason why I like the Ember a lot more. It's easier to, if you get shots in the arms or whatever when they're trading back. You know, it's basically like free trading. Even though your medium lasers are in those arms, losing them isn't too detrimental.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to trade well against an Ember.
Yeah.
The only time you can shoot at them decently is when they're shooting at you, pretty much, and just trade shots at the same time. Otherwise, well, aim for the legs.
Yeah. Good trading still just mostly comes down to having the correct numbers and the numbers advantage. More than personal techniques, I feel.
Never play alone.
Yep.
No fight should be fair. Even I know that. So one thing I want to touch on is how differently lights behave in different drops. So I'm pretty sure every league has a light drop, a medium or a couple medium drops, and then a heavy drop. And how different is it playing with a swarm of lights versus 2 lights or 3 lights?
I mean,
Well, with the swarm, it's incredibly annoying now because you warp everywhere.
Right,
So-
so let's take just because I know Merrick well, I'll go with the 550 and the 800. I believe in R-Hot it's 540 and
860.
860. On MRBC it's 8 lights and 4 mediums and 6 assaults, 2 or 4 heavies and 2 lights. So it varies. You can get hugely different numbers of different chassis. So let's take the light favored one first. Obviously, you mentioned the swarm, the warping, but how is it? How much different is it, and what do you do to treat those drops differently?
well, right off the bat, it's your mech choice first. For example, on the 540, you're pretty much never going to take the Raven. Because you don't get that time to harass people, because you can't run away from them. They're the same speed as you, they'll just run you down, or force you to take off, and so you're not getting good leverage out of that. Whereas a Jenner D, well, it doesn't have to deal with heavies and assaults, so its streaks are always going to be useful. And the Jenner F, well, it's going to be one quick engagement, one drawn-out engagement, so the heat issues are going to rear their head. So it kind of goes between the Jenner D and the Ember for those light drops for me.
With the Ember, usually there's some kind of mediums incorporated in those drop decks, and ideally, because the Ember really blows at taking out light mechs due to the torso pitch. If they jump jet high enough, you will not be able to hit them with your machine gun, so you're basically useless. So then you go with the Shadowhawks, get those streak boats off of your lights, and that's about it for your job.
Yeah, if you bring the Jenner to a light drop, you're going bottoms up, and if you take Embers, you're going top down.
Sorry. Everybody check Reddit quick.
Reddit?
Okay.
We're gonna finish the light discussion really quick so we can talk about this. But
What particular part of Reddit?
build a hero mech.
Oh yeah.
Specifically build 2 different hero mechs.
Do we really need to talk about this now?
I mean,
Not
we don't really.
related to light mechs.
Not related to light mechs, but it's interesting. We can mention it at the end. How do you guys? It's just cool. So basically, anybody who's wanting to know, there's a build a hero blackjack and build a hero quick draw posts by Sean on the Reddit. If you want to check them out, looks interesting. Yeah, but no, that's not important. Sorry, I got distracted. I do that easily. So
Fucking
for
heavy pilots.
bullshit, you guys are twitchy as shit. You're all like, oh god, gotta be lights, gotta move fast, and us heavy pilots are like, let's take our time. Let's make sure we know what's going on. Light Max, where is everybody?
Yeah, just do a line before every match.
That'd be hilarious.
So is the question
So just
was, what do we pick, or how do we go about shooting crap?
well, what mechs do you pick, and how do you alter your playstyle for the two of them, or how do the styles differ?
Honestly, I've just been going with the Jenner F almost every game, just because I like the high alpha with it. I can put 2 30-point alphas into something and then just switch to just like 3 and 3 to keep my heat high but not overheating. Any of the 500 comps are a big clusterfuck, in my opinion, and I just shoot what the team is shooting and look for stuff that has cord components and blow that off.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, sorry. Any of the like 600 to like 600 comp drops, I'll always look for like Jaegers and Cataphracts and try and blow off side torsos and weapons, that kind of stuff. And then 800 comp, my goal is to never be seen until close to the end or come up behind the big shit, because there's a lot of it to shoot and there's a lot of it to shoot you back, so stay out of sight. Let your heavy mechs do most of the work and pick off stuff that is cord out, etc.
One thing we haven't mentioned is the role of lights in dropping strikes. And as a light mech, of course, fastest thing on the field, you can get angles to put more effective strikes out, and you can get all of your strikes out before your big mechs engage, so that you wear the opponent down. Speaking of creative angles, during the Lords versus SWK match, Addy, I think, spent 2 minutes running around the map trying to get a good airstrike angle, and it was beautiful when he got it in. But on the light drops,
was a good airstrike.
The importance of strikes is less. Your opponents literally move too fast to be caught by them, unless they're really, really not paying attention. And if that's the case, then they're going to get absolutely messed up. But strikes are less of a factor on the light drops, especially because with the engagements, you're going to be like running into a mad brawl, and you're as likely to kill your teammates with those strikes once that happens as your enemies. So,
well, the only circumstance where you could use an RD or airstrike in the light drop would be putting it behind your line, just to box them in or make them not able to escape. Keep them in the brawl and leave the anyone who's trying to escape from the brawl, like skirt the outside of the brawl, maybe get a hit or two from an RD. I'd seen more as a positional thing than actually trying to kill someone with it.
Personally,
you can also
my
put it
favorite
down.
use is... Oh, I was going to say Death Before Dishonor, if I'm about to die. As a medium mech in light drops, I've done it. I've been like in a medium swarmed by lights. I'm like, well, this is it. And I just look down and drop an RD.
Yep.
I did it to...
I actually did that.
I did it to somebody on our team once. He's like, I'm getting swarmed by lights. I'm down my guns. And I was like, I love you like a brother. And I dropped an RD on him.
Ruffle, fix your question.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for
Thank you,
pointing that out.
Chapid.
I guess for
and-
myself and the light tonnage drop, if I am to finish like the question, I do like the Jenner F, mostly because I like to focus damage, like Titan said. I don't have too much of an issue with heat management because I like the hit and run playstyle, even in a brawl. So I like to focus damage either on the legs or specific CTs that are open. But yeah, the problem with that is you need to be a really good shot and drag your lasers well against a crap ton of super fast mechs. But I guess the general rule of thumb is Jenner D's, Ambers, much more brawling and mainstay power than Jenner F's and, well, especially Ravens. Unless it's a Thunder Chicken with AC-20.
Yeah, with the Jenner F, I do like taking them, but I've had just a couple bad experiences with light drops on like Terra Therma or Caustic, where I'm just sitting there wishing I had the Ember so that I could keep contributing.
Well,
do
I think
get
it all
hot as
comes down to
shit.
heat management, right? I know some people, when they job on Terra Therma with General F of 6 medium lasers, they turn one laser off, so they just shoot with 5. So that's much more manageable. Me personally, I like to bind left click and right click with the left 3 medium lasers and the right 3 medium lasers, so it's easier for me to manage my heat.
Yeah, I do the same
I
thing.
did the same thing as well.
Jaeger has a really weird.
Yeah, his has an alpha button and what else is there? It's like a chain
There's like
fire
an alpha
too.
button, a 5, a chain fire, like I think a 3.
Yeah. That's just doing too much.
Actually,
Just half
just-
and half.
this is an interesting question. How many fire groups do you guys have normally on a mech? Obviously, it depends on weapons, but like, I know some people are like, oh, never have more than 2, or like, oh, never have more than 3.
Ideally 2. If I had maximum is 3, and I hate it when I have to go 3, because that's also my whisper button. So I get TeamSpeak complaining to me, whisper group is not set up.
I'm that guy with no more than 3.
Gotcha.
No more than
Right.
3. Very, like, some of my weird builds have 4, but that's like 1 out of 50.
Usually I'll use, depending on the mech, if it's something bigger, obviously, I'll do like energy weapons group 1, because that's the thing I'm like always firing. I'll just leave that on left click. Autocannons group 2, and missiles group 3, just side button. And then if there's something where I need to manage my heat more, I'll use like 1 and 2 for energy weapons and have like 1 on cycle fire, or just like 2 groups of the weapons.
I took a cue from Jaeger for my jump snipers, and I put both PPCs and like AC5s on left click. I put the ballistics on right click, and I put the PPCs alone on like thumb button, and then chain fired PPCs on 4, but I practically never use that.
I must be weird because
There's one thing to say though, not that it popped up. Chain fire versus alpha striking for lights. For those of you who are, well, not really used to light mech high comp tier, alpha strike is usually the way to go. Chain fire, sometimes for heat management, but very, very seldom. You're
Trying to
better off
chase
just
somebody
waiting
down,
and shoot.
maybe.
alpha
medium
groups
lasers.
over chain firing everything you have.
Yeah.
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 Like
Chain
you,
fire is bad. Yes.
you don't want to spread your laser damage. Like really, you really don't.
Yep.
It's wasted heat if you do. So alpha strike it, so you hit at least something for some meaningful amount of damage.
Sorry about
Yeah,
the
when you play
sorry about the tangent. The only reason I asked is because I'm weird and I split everything up by component.
wow.
What? Whoa.
Some of my jump sniper, like I'll do that with the arms.
So
I'm not confused by PPCs and AC5s. Like my
Left and-
Victor.
especially
Yeah.
like side dominant builds. So think if it's
Like
far
left
right
arm, left
weapon
click.
is right click, far left weapon is left click.
Yep. I do that on some mechs.
CT or torso weapons are 3 or 4 mouse button, and then I also use shift as my jump jet, so spacebar is my alpha group.
Going back to what Ara said though,
Yeah, no, that's important. Sorry, I just was wondering.
there are, like, when you start playing light, you recognize the opportunities that naturally occur for you to get a good shot. You don't want to be firing when you're like pulling a tight circle 30 meters away from the guy, he's torso twisting, and like you just could maybe keep a third of the beam on. That's wasted heat. You're going to save that shot. You're going to recognize for like when he's hitting the extent of his torso twist and you're doing a reverse jump and everything is going to land on one component. That's when you're
Whoa,
going to...
whoa. Calm down, Siri. Calm down.
I'm
That's a
being
lot of
hyperbolic
advanced
and,
stuff
like,
there.
But the point is that there are shots that are better than others, and as you get more experienced, you recognize how to create those shots, and you're not going to waste your heat on poor shots. It's better to hold it and make it count.
Yeah. Pretty much translated is, especially in Gen F, you can see that often because of the 6 medium laser heat. you're not going to be able to shoot a lot in a brawl before overheating. So, like Siri said, keep your shots, wait for the good opportunity, and shoot. Now the question is, how do you create that opportunity? Well, for one,
Wait for them to overheat.
you can wait for them to overheat. That's one thing, but you might die beforehand. You can wait for them to either run in a straight line or jump jet, where they're also in a straight line. Personally, what you could do though for yourself is try to stabilize your shots every time you shoot too. So running around, trying to dodge, doing a full tight turn, and trying to shoot someone who's also doing dodging and turning might not be the best time to shoot. Usually, you want to be as stable as possible.
3 and 3.
Either running a straight line, jump jetting a little bit when you shoot, like for a couple of, well, not a couple of seconds, more like 1 or 1.5 second. You could even try stopping and shooting if you're like in a really good position and have good spatial awareness, but that's kind of dangerous too, especially if there are PPC mechs around.
One thing I'll say is that lights are actually, like, the effect from jump jet shake is small enough you can shoot while jumping. Like, the dispersion isn't that great. Or isn't that bad, rather.
And
Yeah.
with the medium laser length, you can also adjust on the fly and not lose too much of that DPS.
Yeah, like, I've noticed that it tends to be more of a vertical split than a horizontal split when I'm firing them.
Yeah, usually it's going like down to the left or something like that for me, instead of just going left and right like it is for the heavier mechs, like in a Victor or something.
Up to the right, I think, usually. But I don't know, I always try and shoot when I'm falling. And then pad my landing and go.
Yeah, I'm just saying if you really need to, you can do it.
But
Yeah, but sometimes you have no choice, especially if you know that either they're looking at you with a big alpha strike, or if you can only skirt the edge of a hill to shoot them, you're gonna want to go sideways and not up front, right? So you're gonna want
Yeah.
to jump jet just past the hill and just skirt that little bit of the ridge and just shoot. Get that little bit of damage, especially if the teams are camping or so.
Ideally, you never want to use your jump jets. Hold it down the button for too long because you're so predictable during that arc. That I noticed that's a lot of one of the bigger problems with a lot of newer light mech pods is that they hold down the jump jet because it's so nice to get that stable shot, but you're also opening yourself up, barring no hit reg problems, to easy return fire.
Not to mention, you
Well-
could just be spamming your jump jets on the ground, and then you're just impossible to hit no matter what.
That too.
Let's digress a little, or stop digressing, and sort of get back to the question. The main
Yeah,
question
we haven't.
have.
What is the
quite.
question?
Current
It's on the
question
screen.
is it is on the screen, but current question is light drops versus heavy drops. I think we adequately covered light drops, and I'll blame myself because I was reading something. But how do you deal in heavier drops? Say it's just you and maybe 1 or 2 other light mechs in a drop.
You know how Ara was saying survive?
That's the only thing
survive.
you do.
That
You scout, you survive, and if a brawl comes around, you dive, and if you're lucky, you'll live to the end and kill everything. But more often than not, you might get focused out halfway, but you hope that your contribution is enough to sway the heavy fight. So the emphasis on the heaviest drop, the emphasis is on the scouting.
Yeah, poking is so dangerous in those heavier drops that really you don't do it that much. You kind of do, but only when like your teammates are already shooting at them, so they don't pay attention to you. Otherwise, you're just kind of sitting there and waiting.
I think I said it earlier, just stay out of sight. Pick stuff off if it drops back and it's got a cord CT or something.
Yep, scouting and late game brawling is pretty much key here in heavy drops. The only other reason why you should poking your head out is if you want to play decoy, but super dangerous.
Yeah.
The heavy drop is sort of where the Raven becomes an option because you don't have to do that light brawl as much, and your harass power could come in useful. But again, against good shots, if you get too cocky, even at 800 meters, they're going to hit you, and it's going to hurt.
Yeah, but with the Raven, at least you have the time to move out of the PPC and AC way, because it takes such a long time for them to reach you. So at least that's a good thing in the heavy drop. And if you consider cicadas with lights, well, you know how BSK played against us. The use of PPC cicada is also a great thing if you have the team strategy for it. Great way to kite, great way to deal good long range damage. But pretty specific to the kind of gameplay.
Originally, we were also going to go into different modes, like whether or not you play lights differently, whether you're playing Assault, Conquest, or Skirmish. We're also going to go into restrictions, but I think since we're already at like an hour and 15 minutes, I'm just going to kind of ask that generally, if there are any big points that you would mention about playing in different game types, also playing with restrictions, and then we're going to close it out.
Well, Assault you cry, because turrets.
Right.
Conquest, you're very active and mobile.
Capping a lot.
Doing capping. Skirmish kind of turns into the same as a heavy drop, where your focus becomes on scouting.
JJ, you're fine. No JJ, you cry.
It's like playing
AA.
a Hunchback.
Siri literally just cries. Like, he's actually sent me a text message being like, I have a no jump jets match this week. Sad face.
I believe last week I compared it to gargling razor blades, and I stand by that description.
Yeah, I had one. I was playing for BSK Warden for Merrick Civil War, and I don't remember who we fought, but I mean, we
Sig.
won. This is incredibly painful. But
No,
no,
it
that
wasn't
one.
Sig.
Yeah, I don't remember. It was like yesterday. Anyway, it was very painful and not fun. We won, but it was bad.
So painful.
With no PPCs, I assume that also means like no autocannons.
No,
You
just
can't-
no PPCs.
No,
Oh,
just
just
no
no
PPCs.
PPCs.
It's the way more
Oh, okay.
common one. The no autocannons one is new this year, and
Even with that, you can kind of, I mean, since the long range pinpoint alphas are reduced, you're able to, be a lot more aggressive than you normally can be, because laser damage is not always either going to reg on you or hit you in the same component, typically.
They usually have a lot more AC-20s though, which kind of hurts
yeah.
at short range.
A little
Yeah,
bit.
and-
Just hurts a little bit.
well, yeah. And if you're down ACs but you're still allowed PPCs, lights are way more favorable because unless you're taking ERs, your main fire weapon is going to be your PPCs. So when people get up near you,
No, I
Gonna
wouldn't say that, because usually when you try to focus a mech down 90 meters, that mech is just going to torso twist, jump jet, turn, and bite the most time for their team to shoot at you, and you're pretty much out of 90 meters.
oh, sorry, I just meant like in a brawl situation, it's hard for anybody. It's hard for the person you're focusing to do anything.
The
It's
person you're
reliant
focusing,
on the team.
sure. But as you're hugging him and staying under his 90 meters, there's a dude sitting 100 meters away who just has perfect shots on you, because trying to hug him makes your movement really predictable. So.
Right.
But I agree with Addy. Without PPCs, it opens up the field a lot, and even if there are lasers, it's not smoking you and just taking you out. You can gauge that damage a lot better and play attrition and give them a little bit if you think you're trading well, or if you are taking advantage of it.
I like playing outside the 300 meter range, just on that skirt of the 270 meters laser range, especially when there's no PPC. Just because any AC that has enough damage to hit you hard is kind of slow at that range, so it's easier to dodge shot, especially in Jenner, where hit and run is the key to its play.
And then, no air, no arty.
Doesn't really
With
change
or
much
without
other
it,
than you're
doesn't
not
change
looking for it.
Gotcha.
It changes sometimes the fact that some light pilots have a tendency to be super aggressive to put that perfect RD or airstrike in. Aside from that, nah.
Also
not
makes
much.
conquest capping slightly safer.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's true.
definitely.
Ha ha ha! I caught something on all of you light pilots. Yes. I feel like I
You
contributed.
did. You did?
Took me all episode, what can I say?
I tip my hat to you, sir.
Yeah, it's okay. Is there
I have one
any...
thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
We discussed the lightest drop and we discussed the heaviest drop, and sort of our discussion was like, well, lights, they're good, but they're not that great. And the mid-weight drops, the 700, the 760, like the 620, those ones I actually feel that lights kind of come into their own, because while there are lights that they can play around with, while there are bigs, there aren't that many of them. It's a lot more fluid and flexible and more fun to play in. It's less predictable at those weights, the sort of style that's going to play out.
Yeah, and there's still
And
mediums
so that's
to pick when they're out of position and stuff like that.
And so that's important in your scouting because you have to find what style they have, and then you have a bunch of different things you can counter them with depending on that style. So,
There's a lot more variance in the mechs too. Sometimes the team is going to be bringing mostly mediums, not a lot of lights. Sometimes it's going to be half lights and half heavies or assaults. So there's a ton of scouting opportunities there.
Love me some Jaeger side torsos.
Yeah. If those are brought, yeah. First thing game for that right.
Always
torso.
running XLs.
I think the only standard build that I have on my Jaeger is the triple UAC. Rest are all XLs. I'm just looking over the show notes. I think we're good, guys. Unless there's any last, giant tidbits of light information that you want to drop.
who here uses Whisperless for their lights?
BSK
used
Warden
to.
does.
Occasionally we still do. When we're, I don't know. I just yell over shit now.
We do it in SJR a bunch just so that lights can get all their chit chat out of the way. Because, like you said, there's very fast, lots happening, and we don't want to shit up the heavies comms with that. But it's
Yeah.
sort of like secondary rather than our primary means of communication. So I just was wondering what other people do.
One of the things that came up for me when you're leading a hammer over a light, I always want to hear what the lights are talking about, because the number of times that it actually gets in the way of me talking or my thought process is very few, and it means that even if they just mention something about where they see a single mech moving, it might not necessarily get communicated back in full to me. So hearing the chit chat between the 3 or 4 light pilots that we have gives me a better picture of the entire battlefield. So.
Right, we don't use it much. It's just, for example, right at the start of an engagement when the heavies are getting all their orders out and we're trying to pick our route in and we're trying to get all our orders out. We don't want to talk over each other, so that's when we use the Whisperless most. And then, like you said, we try and keep it all on the main if we can.
Yep, makes sense.
Yeah, I just noticed a lot of times, if we're worried about caps or something like that, the lights would whisper, "Okay, let's go get this point" or something, and then 20 seconds or 10 seconds later, the drop commander would be like, "Lights, can you get to blah?" And then it says, "Okay, well, we're already doing that." But if you're just over main comms, it's already been said. They know you're doing that, and then I guess you could. Target calling might be a little better to do over whisper, but at the same time, the 550 drop, everybody's shooting the same shit. And in heavy drops, you can just call it after the drop commanders.
Yeah, 550 drop, we don't use it at all.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie,
thank
in
you there.
brawls, I almost tone out whoever I know is playing lights. I've toned out Titan's voice just because I hear what he's saying, but I don't pay attention. And if somebody's talking at the same time, I hear the other person, just because I'm assuming he's talking to lights.
What
That's
a
kind of
bastard.
why we started doing it, was because there was a drop or two where lights were doing their thing, then they saw something really important and reported it, but some of the heavies had just continued to tune out the lights. So we wanted to get all the stuff they needed to tune out off their comms, that when we did speak up during that sort of time, they would pay attention.
It's a good thing to bring up. I had completely forgotten about that.
Yeah, we don't really use Whisperless here in SWK. I guess either by laziness or by the fact that we're just used to everyone chatting at the same
I was
time.
gonna say, you guys like to talk.
Pie or
There's the
cake.
House of Lords too.
Also,
We
I've been,
always pie or cake.
I've been noticing our light Lance recently has been kind of thinking on the same wavelength, and we'll just do shit accordingly that needs to be done without really talking about it.
Yeah, same thing here. I mean, that's kind of how we House of Lords conducts all of our comms. We don't really, I mean, we kind of sort of talk, but usually we're just moving as a group anyway. We're doing the same exact things because we've either A, been playing with each other so long, or B, actually practiced beforehand, which is rare, but it sometimes happens.
Yeah, practice is key with people that you play the same weight class with, because then if you can talk without talking, just by like knowing that in this situation you always do this thing, it really helps with movements on the battlefield. Okay, guys. I think we're good. Did I haven't forgotten anything. We covered most of it.
Nope, we're good.
All right, killer.
Got a good core shit.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, in that case, let's go back around and do shoutouts. Starting at the back. So, Ara.
Shout out to the comp teams. 26 days left. Or maybe 25
Is that it?
now that it's midnight.
Oh, that's right. Oh, so excited. So excited.
Well, don't be. I think someone posted on the Reddit a good argument in the sense that it's gonna be hard as hell to actually practice now because of the 3-3-2-3 rule.
I mean, we talked about that a long time ago on the
Yeah.
show. Like, I've known it's been coming for a while, but chances are that someone will have premium time, or whatever the premium
Even
thing
for
that they're using
practice?
is. I mean, I have premium time active right now because I had 90 days banked.
Yeah, but you know a lot of teams. What about those new teams that just got in 12s and don't really know any contacts from other teams?
I mean, if
Mark
I...
Shark could be used for that.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
can be.
Skirmishes.
And very worst case scenario, you like... Well, no, that wouldn't necessarily be a good case. I was going to say, you hand him one of your premium players and it's like, alright, this guy's going to be in your team for this game, if they want to do that. But my hope is that it'll stop people from like worrying about dropping in the 12-man queue, and then they'll start dropping in the 12-man queue because we're all using private servers. But that's for another time. Damn it, Ara, we could go another hour talking about that shit. Shout out.
Good.
Is that your shout out? Just to the competitive teams?
Yep.
Alright. Titan?
Shout out to 28th, I guess, my unit. Good job, guys. Keep killing shit.
And Addy.
Shoutouts to Wispsy, my light partner, who during important competitive games, like us against SWK this Tuesday, he fell asleep during it, so he didn't play. Shoutouts to
Like,
Wispsy.
in the match, or?
No, he just didn't show up. He said,
Oh.
"Poke me when it's ready," and then he
Okay.
never showed up. So I had to pick up Coburn.
Nice.
It's better than like falling asleep waiting to queue. You have a couple bad syncs and it auto-readies you and you're just like...
Pretty sure SJR was dealing with that earlier this week, right?
Dude, I've had to... Not with this game, but like just staying up late at LAN parties, waiting for something to do, and just like
Yeah.
totally out.
You like try and go the whole day and you're just fucked the next.
Actually, I have to go talk to my guys to find out how that went tonight, because we only got like over 3 hours of dropping. We got 2 of our drops done, so they were going to pick that up tonight,
Oh,
and I was
no,
away,
geez.
thank God. So,
Well, I mean, Siri, you are the last one on the list for shoutouts, so let's hear it.
my shout out is actually going to go to Sky Rangers, and Dominator and SJ1. I had well, first of all, they're on our faction from Eric, but after last week's show, I had a chat with Dominator, and apparently they really loved the show, and just sort of that competitive talk and like the dedication, according to Don, was sort of a light bulb switching on, and so they really want to get into that, and they approached me to help them out, and I feel like that's just friggin' awesome. So
Props,
I'm
man.
backing any effort they make to get in here and make a name for themselves and just improve.
Hell yeah.
Also, like Kincaid said, my shout out goes to this piece of shit. Which I'll hopefully be replacing soon.
Dude, Siri sent me a picture
Wow.
the other day. He was like, look at this bullshit. And it's just a picture
What did you
of
do
his
to it?
headphones sitting on his desk.
One sec.
Hey, you know, he probably got really angry one day and just stepped on it.
I have an old keyboard actually sitting next to me for when I get mad, and then I just punch it. It's pretty easy.
What brand and model were those? So we know not to buy them
Logitech.
ever again. Oh,
These are Logitech G35s that are like 3 years old. I won them playing a World of Tanks tournament, and they've served me well, but it is well past their time. It's just, you know, like when you stretch them and put on your head, they just
you pulled it
like
apart.
first one side
Snap.
snapped and then the other one snapped.
Titan, Titan, those are some nice looking headphones you've got there. What would those happen to be? Those
These
really
are the
those really nice looking headphones
Yeah.
that you've got, Razor.
yep.
Oh.
Titan and I have the same headphones.
I reviewed them for Raffle.
Dude, they're super comfy. I suppose that means it's my turn. Thanks to everybody who's watching. Thanks to everybody who watches on YouTube. If you actually wait until the end and watch this part and hear it, but thank you anyways. Thank you to you guys for coming on the show. I clearly know next to nothing about light mechs, but it's always good to highlight different aspects of the game and what's going on. So I really appreciate that. I'm gonna try and do stuff like this more frequently so that we get every time the meta shifts in a significant way, we'll try and do a different weight class episode so that we can get new
SRAMs.
perspectives.
SRMs.
Oh yeah,
So
dude.
see you in 6 months.
Yep, pretty much.
Laser hit edge.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, so thanks to everybody, and we'll be having another show next Thursday. It's probably going to be part 2 on playing to win. Have Madge will be back from vacation, so we'll be able to have all the old guests back. So yeah, thanks again, everybody. See you next week.
In before Laser Hit Reg is new SRM Hit Reg.
Yeah. It's getting
Dude,
there.
that'd be crazy. Later, guys.
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.